Tonight, May 26th, 2021, is a night to be known as the infamous blood moon. But did you know it is also a lunar eclipse, supermoon, and a flower moon? What are these strange phases of the moon and how can they impact our subconscious minds, whether we are aware of it or not? Tonight, let's dive in and discover the secrets behind the moon with our host Trisha Margus. Enjoy.
Hey everyone, welcome to 90 Degree Turns, where we expand the minds, beliefs, and perspectives of the collective while awakening the sleeping many. I'm your host, Trisha Margus, and today we have a very special episode with a mystery guest. That mystery guest is Mason Feary. Mason Feary, welcome to the show.
How's it going, everybody?
It's wonderful to have you here. So it's some big stuff's going on astrologically. So we're not professional astrologers. But we'll get into what we think about this super blood moon that's happening. But before we dive in, Mason, tell our audience who you are.
So I'm a former Army veteran, former analyst in the intelligence community. Basically, I did that for around 9 years or so. And with all my experiences and all my journeys, I just started questioning reality because everything that I thought I wanted to go for kind of started getting pulled from in very serious ways and very almost unexpected, as if I'm being diverted on purpose. So, but I've been in the spiritual journey for about 3 years or so now. Kind of stumbled upon some occult or esoteric sciences, but none of the bad stuff, of course. Just purely research, and then Gnosticism, which I find very interesting.
Great. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that introduction. Thank you everyone who's joining us live here, and make sure to press that like button, share the link with all your friends on Telegram and everywhere else that you like to connect, and well, I guess we'll get started with the episode here.
Sure.
So, it's a super blood full moon, and that means that the wolves are howling.
Hollywood is running.
Yeah, lots of things are happening. So, from my understanding, I know that the full moon, it is definitely a time to release things that don't serve us. A lot of us in the spiritual community and otherwise, and just historically in ancient cultures, they recognize the moon as a time that one can release things and cleanse.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. Well, a lot of times you got to remember that the full moon, or just the moon in general, represents the subconscious mind. And so with releasing habits, a good telltale sign would be those things that are nagging you. Oh, I should get up, go to the gym. I that's me, but or maybe I should stop doing this so often. I need to get off my phone. Those are subconscious thought forms that kind of make your awareness, right? They're the ones that repetitively get at you. Well, that now is the time of the full moon to actually engage into those things, and you can do it either with a spiritual ritual, a meditation. For the Wiccans out there, I'm sure you already know what you do with your cleansing and however you get into the ritualistic things, but it's really good to kind of release some of the things that we think we know we should like start pursuing. This just gives us that electromagnetic start, or that jump push to actually start doing it.
Oh, absolutely. And I find it interesting that the things that nag us are things that we genuinely internally know that we should be doing anyway.
Mhm.
It's something that little voice in the back of your mind saying like, oh well, listen, you should be getting up early, right, and going to that gym or taking a habit that maybe isn't as healthy anymore and just letting it go. I mean, we all are human. We all have things that we must work on. It's kind of like a never-ending thing. But what's interesting that I find with this new moon that's happening, they have like 4 different names to it. There's like a blood moon,
there's all sorts
there's
of...
a flower moon, and then it's also in the sign of Sagittarius, which is my sun sign.
Jupiter, isn't it?
And which rules the planet Jupiter.
Yeah.
And then I did read that there's something about a 90-degree angle aspect, but if anyone in the show here knows what is a true astrologer and can tell us more about that, we'd love to hear it.
We greatly appreciate it.
We'd greatly
slow down the research process.
Because I find it all very interesting. But what have you been feeling then the past few weeks? Are you the kind of person that will feel energies before they happen?
Yes, and especially during. I feel like a lot of the people that are more sensitive to these things kind of had this nudge or this kind of inner knowing prior to this event. From what I do know about the blood moon is it does signify endings. In occult and like esoteric understanding, it's the time to have something come at a completion, or in numerology that would represent the number 9, which is full completion. So for me, past couple weeks, definitely waking up early. You got to get that yoga in, and then if I skip it, it goes, the little thought goes, well, he skipped it again. It just kind of like reaffirms like, okay, I know I need to actually put this concrete into practice. Meditation, trying to get into meditation more ritualistically has been a huge thing.
Consistency.
Living in the city, all the busy noise, the time to kind of just let that all go. It's very necessary for our not only our own journey, but for those around us that we encounter. If we're more centered into our body, and can really feel through our emotions before engaging in conversations go pretty well because you're in control of it. So
it taps into the idea of reacting versus responding, right? Because when we react and we're coming from like a maybe agitated place, you just kind of explode you're projecting versus sitting down and kind of looking within and being internal, right? And then being able to respond in a more conscious, like appropriate way that isn't just feeding off of like a wound or
giving their energy back.
True.
So a lot of times, something that I've realized, and I found it in a book called The Celestine Prophecy, which is a wonderful book. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but if you do have the book, maybe read it again, get some different information from this time than last time. But essentially what he talks about is the mirroring effect of people that we're communicating with. So if I'm aggressive, or if I'm in an aggressive mood and I automatically kind of want to come at you like with an attack, that's a lower vibrational energy that I'm projecting through my higher center of communication. So unconsciously, if I'm yelling at someone, that person that I'm yelling at is going to feel it. And their normal response is to immediately go back with the same level, or if not even accelerated, depending on how their day went. Response. And so what we can really do, this is going a little off topic, but we'll get back here. So when we're communicating, really assess what is that person saying to me? Does it really have anything to do with me? And really internalize that, and then give them back what you wish or hope for them to feel, in their day-to-day. Like I've done that so many times. You go up to a person, they're kind of irritated, but I respond in such a way that it lowers their temperature.
It's like you're not giving them something to feed off of, right? So a lot of people, when they are upset, right, they're looking to give you that like jab, right? That you're going to feel triggered by it, and then you're going to respond. But if you are, like we said, if we're coming from a centered place, you don't give them that food that they're looking for.
They're drawing from
to cycle it and back and forth, and we can kind of relay that into like the cycles of the moon, right? There's different times. It's a bit of a side tangent, but there's different cycles of the moon, right? So when we have a full moon, that is essentially like the halfway point of the calendar. And so before the full moon, there's like the new moon, and that's when a lot of people do different rituals or just write notes or just feel things that they want to manifest and create. And so when the full moon comes around, that's when we can kind of like bear the fruit of that.
The harvest.
Yes, you can harvest it. And it's a powerful time, I think, on this earth in general, because it's 2021. The world is going through a big shift. We're in the age of Aquarius now. So there's a lot going on. And there's also a lot of events happening in the globe that are there meant to distract us from going within, right? They're literally pulling all the stops that you can imagine.
Well, they're pulling the energy.
Yeah.
So we got to remember that these people are wizards or masters of manipulation. So if there's an event and it's kind of distracting and I'm kind of engaging into that so often, I'm neglecting myself. But they're all also utilizing that energy, just how I said earlier, when what you give, you get. But the people that have a higher awareness, they take more than anything else. But so these situations just make us so we're so consumed in fear, and essentially what ends up happening is you're feeding that distraction. Imagine if COVID, oops, probably got dinged on that one, wasn't televised so often. Would it be a big thing? But with that being said, this time it's a really good time if you're doing the work and you're on the spiritual journey with us in your own way. The emotions for me have been pretty calm. Like it's been okay. I've been very fortunate to do enough inner work or shadow reflection via the moon or other daily practices to kind of get me into that spot.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely relate to that, where although it seems hectic on the external world, being able to understand your inner world and really the things of who you are outside of an egoic perspective, like really understanding what drives you, what motivates you, how you want to live your life, how you want to perceive things. So we always have a choice in how we do that. So for me, I've also spent a significant amount of time before kind of the world started going on fire, essentially, and working on myself that way. And it's still a constant process, but the more you do it and the more consistent you are, it does get easier.
Mm-hmm. But it gets deeper too.
It does.
Like an onion.
In like the ocean. Like it gets the
many more levels to be discovered.
Yeah, because like you think of an ocean, right? And like on the surface, there's all these crazy waves that happen, and it's really like turbulent. But you just go like 5 feet under the waves. Yeah, you ride it, but you go 5 feet under the waves, and you see above you all the crazy waves and storms. But it gets calmer. I mean, you might find some crazy fish the farther you go down. There's always going to be like nuggets, but it gets easy in its own way, easier but deeper. Yeah. So I mean, perhaps easier is not the proper word for it, but it's also, there's depth to it.
It also gives us an opportunity that when we go into those depths of those emotions, if they're not fully cleared, the next time it triggers you, at least in my experience, you're given the opportunity to go, like you said, in the water, deeper into it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we can heal through our shadow and be like, oh, I'm doing really well, but something about, whatever triggered me a little bit. Well, that's the time that you take, especially in energy like tonight, to really kind of go within those depths and try to feel what it is about this situation made me triggered. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, if you relate it to an emotion, you can kind of find that emotion and then just play with it around there. Or if you can't and you don't have the time, one of my things is if I get frustrated, I'm like, push into the ground, ground yourself, really be here.
Yeah, that definitely works when I'm nervous. I
imagine push it through the floor.
Yeah, I imagine like a cord, or a rope going down from like my heart center all the way down to like the earth.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels good. I mean, it feels grounding for sure. And this stuff may seem like woo-woo to people who are new to the channel or anything like that, but imagination and using your visualization is something that we've all innately had since we were children, and it is incredibly powerful to use as an adult. Like athletes do it all the time when they play sports.
Yeah, they focus.
You focus and intention. You see how you're gonna play the game before you play. You can practice. Like there's so much research out there. I go into like Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural. Phenomenal book if you haven't read it. But he talks about how you're essentially able to he talks about clearing the energy centers and things like that, but you're able to what am I trying to say here? With visualization, you're able to do a lot more powerful things than what your conscious mind is able to do.
Like work out in your dreams?
You can work, yeah. You can work out in your dreams.
That's actually real. I've done that before.
I've done that with certain sports where I'm in practice in my own dream space, and then I get stronger actually in real life. And there's literally scientific proof to go and validate that. It's actually incredible because people think, oh, our conscious mind is all there is. And we know the subconscious is there, but there's so much power to it. So...
Yeah, it's pretty cool. My younger brother actually would tell me, I was like, how did you get so good at hockey? You've only played for like a little short while. And he's like, I dream about it. Like, it's like a known thing. Oh, I dream about it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I started taking that, and then reading Joe Dispenza's book talks about creating mental pathways of things that you actually do to continue that habit in the waking life. So if I want to go to the gym, really build up that mental energy and then bring that mental energy down, and then you can get the motivation to go to the gym. And that's just one idea of how to do it. But basically you create your version of who you want to be in that moment and then bring it to now. And you can do all sorts of things. Visualization is key. It also gives you the ability to kind of like, in meditation, when you're trying to go back into that shadow, you're given the ability to kind of step back into a memory and then really focus on the details, because you're practicing that intuitive muscle. The stronger you can create something within your head, like if I'm looking at an apple and I physically have an apple, but if then I take the apple away and I think about an apple, the clearer that image is, it's almost the same as holding in your hand. It's just focusing that mental energy to build that clear picture, and then use that clear picture to manifest what it is you want to do. It takes a lot of practice.
Yeah,
but
it does. But it's definitely worth the effort, And as humans, I feel like a lot of our day-to-day activities are filled with things that don't really nourish like those abilities that are people would consider
mundane.
Like ESP and things like that. You
Yeah.
have psychic ability, you have different like intuition. These are all really natural things to us, but it takes practice sometimes. Some people are naturally gifted, and other times it's like consistent, like meditating. Like the more often you do it, like you literally build new neural pathways
it's easier
and
to
highways.
get in that mode.
Yeah, you get into like the zone, into theta. Like you get into places that would maybe in the beginning take you an hour, and now you could do it quicker, but you go deeper under the waves, like we were talking about.
I've also noticed more meditation, it's easier to fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not one thing other people are lacking. I sometimes am a night owl. It's just because my subconscious mind is so active at nighttime. It's because we're getting that energy from the moon. It's the time to digest. In the morning, it rises. Everything is an awakening. Very active. Everybody's busy. So mentally, it's the same. And as the sun sets, everything slows down. Things shut down. And the moon really represents that time to pause and kind of like integrate, well, what happened today? And it's cool when you can do that in association with these moon cycles, because these moon cycles offer different, I guess you could say, spiritual information or knowledge attributed to what we did do that day.
Definitely.
So it's pretty cool.
I agree. It's very interesting stuff. And what I find also, this is something unique where statistically science says that there are a lot more intense activities like darker things like murders and rapes that happen on a full moon than any other time, like around the world. Like why do you think that is? 'Cause
Well, so there's a couple factors. Well, there is a Hollywood that likes to create movies, and it's actually funny. Most of the money in this industry goes into horror films. And someone asks, well, why? The horror films suck. And if they are, they're like decent, but then the second one sucks. So it's not necessarily for the horror films, but it is for the commercial. If I can give you 2 minutes of information and hit you real hard with those subconscious fears, well, then that's embedded to your mind. Your subconscious records everything. And if you get that fright, right, that's a bigger energetic symbol in your mind for it to be a larger component of your normal process. But what's happening is the moon is reflecting the subconscious. So if you have like unhealed anger, that's going to manifest as something larger, something bigger. The werewolf, it's activated at the full moon because it's the subconscious, the sub to him, because it's a subhuman, hybrid human, however you want to talk about it. It represents the change of the carnal desire. You'll notice in the animal kingdom, the predators eat well on a full moon. They eat very well. And then the rest of the month, as the moon finally goes away, well, then the prey get to rest. So it's a balancing cycle that the moon kind of represents. And it's really interesting when you kind of look at the phenomenon, not only humans, but the animal thing, the animal kingdom. Like, oh my gosh, these predators have full night vision and the moon is bright.
They can conquer the forest.
Then the opposite, in the middle of the month, it's the others get to rest and they finally get to be like, oh gosh, no one can see me. I know, I'm all good to go. So it just really reflects throughout all of nature. We're just conscious beings experiencing this in a different way. So
Wonderfully said.
well, thank you.
Wonderfully said. Well, Mason, this has been wonderful to have you on the show here. I'm sure our audience, this is the first time you're on 90 Degree Turns.
Yeah.
So
Won't be the last.
Won't be the last, but welcome on this lovely episode. Can you tell our audience then where we can find you?
So I'll be attributed mostly to your channel as like a subcategory. We're developing a website, and then we'll also be releasing these little mini episodes. And I'm going to kind of like walk you through my own experience. And it's taken a while, and I know those of you that seen my previous episodes, maybe different YouTube channels, I appreciate the patience. It just takes a lot. You know, a lot of this will be my personal experience, not too much in detail, but trying to open doors with the possibility of healing and maybe how to do it. I'm not claiming to have the way to do it, but in giving my circumstances in my past, I found a way that worked for me. And if it could work for you in parts, or maybe none work for you, that's unfortunate. But I really think we can all benefit from this as a community. And if I get this feedback from you guys, we can really learn on this together, because we're all just expanding our own consciousness and our own healing. So stay tuned. We will be introducing many more videos. Mm-hmm. And thank you so much.
All right. Great. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us on this quick little episode here. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to share, like, and subscribe. Don't forget to join our Telegram channel. It's you just look up 90 Degree Turns on there. And all the other standard social medias. We are still on Facebook and YouTube, obviously, and Instagram, and also the second generation socials. We're on Parler and Rumble and BitChute. So check that out. In terms of events, because summer is coming up, I will be speaking at ESETI in Washington. That will be in July. Thank you.
Very excited.
And then there is another conference in the works in August in Colorado Springs. So it is something that we are still working towards, but there will be more information. So look up our Instagram here to know get all the updates, and
we'll see you soon.
We'll see you there. Yeah, summer's coming, and I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of your evening. And definitely stay tuned for all the different updates, and our website's coming up soon. So there's going to be a lot of new momentum, and we're just going to ride this springtime into summer, and we hope you guys will join us. So
see you later.
Bye, guys.